Hello everyone and a massive welcome or welcome back to Fallout Play Build Collect. In this video I'm going to be showing you my top 5 methods to add a lot of fun and variety to your playthroughs of Fallout 4 using the Vertibird. Now I know a lot of you veteran players will probably know a lot of the more basic information here, but please bear with me because we do get a lot of players who are brand new to the game, and some of them tell me they find the game quite large and intimidating and a bit overwhelming in the early stages. So if you're completely new to the game, you might not even know how to call the Vertibird, so let's start there. For people that are new, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but depending on your faction and your story choices, you may gain access to use the Vertibird. All I will say is that if you're the Brotherhood, you get access to the Vertibird much earlier. Now when you do get access to the Vertibird, you get given these smoke grenades, and the idea is you throw the smoke grenade on the ground, you can see the big plume of smoke comes up here, and the Vertibird will attempt to land as close as it can to that smoke grenade. Now it should be noted I'm in Bunker Hill on top of the roof of the main building here, and you can see I throw the smoke grenade and you get a message telling you the Vertibird can't come to your location at all. So you have to at least be in an area where there's some kind of open territory where the Vertibird could set down. Now I'm not going to go into all the vagaries of where the bird will and won't land and what surfaces it will and won't land on. That's a subject for a video itself. In fact, I made that video, I never actually got around to putting it out. So if that's something you'd like to see, if you want me to put that one out, let me know in the comments and I'll get round to finishing that one for you guys. But I think it will suffice for now just to say the Vertibird will try to land as close to the red smoke as it can for you. And you can see from this example here, it couldn't land inside the barricades, so it's landing as close as it can just outside for us. You can see you get the marker come up telling you to enter the Vertibird. You have got a little bit of time here, you don't have to get straight on. And hopefully we can avoid getting crushed by the big fella here. And you notice here when we get on board, you get a little bit of dialogue from the companion. You see Codsworth here will just appear in the chair behind me. And you'll usually get some dialogue from the pilot. There are multiple pilots and they do vary by faction. Choose your destination by opening up your Pip-Boy and selecting a location on the map, just as you would if you wanted to fast travel. This first example, let's use the Vertibird as it was originally intended, as a form of transport.
All systems go. We're clear for takeoff.
And after some dialogue from your pilot,
Weapons hot and ready to bring the pain, sir.
you're up and away and you're on a live gun, but you're only going to travel in a reasonably straight line between the point of which you took off and your destination point on that Pip-Boy. And of course, because you're choosing the location on the Pip-Boy, it has to be a location you've previously already discovered. Now although you can use the minigun on the journey, because you're flying over things relatively quickly, it's very difficult to actually kill anything. Now for a long time this was the way I operated on the Vertibird myself. I didn't know you could do anything else, and I thought this was quite frustrating. I thought what a missed opportunity the Vertibird was. What I didn't realise is you can choose a different destination mid-flight. Now of course you can just use the Vertibird as a point-to-point transport, and that's useful particularly in survival games. But we can use this course changing mechanism to do some really fun things. So as I skip through this journey, at the end we'll just open up the Pip-Boy and we'll choose a new destination, and the Vertibird will just turn around and head in a new direction. You can do this at any point along the flight as long as it's before the Vertibird begins its landing cycle. And as far as I can tell, there's no limit to the number of times you can do this. I started to use this technique to circle around particular locations or enemies. This of course gives you the ability to soften them up with a minigun before landing. Let's use this sentry bot as an example. Sentry bot is obviously a very tough enemy, especially if you're early on in the game with limited weaponry. So let's see if we can destroy it from the air. As we fly past, we can just keep opening up the minimap, choosing a new destination, and just keep circling the target and wearing it down with a minigun. Now a big tip here is when you open the minimap, the direction the arrow is pointing in is the direction the character is facing, not the direction the Vertibird is flying. So you have to take that into account when you're navigating. Now another important note here is if you're not actually flying the Vertibird as part of an official mission, the Vertibird cannot be destroyed while you're on it, and you can't run out of ammunition. Of course that means you could spam and abuse this system. I try to make sure I only use this in ways that were realistic and make sense for the character. But of course that's purely up to you and your playstyle. I'm certainly not one of those people to tell someone they're having fun wrong. One of the great things about Fallout is playing it your way and making up your own rules and narratives. And there goes our sentry bot up in smoke. Let's take another example now of how you can use the Vertibird as an extraction chopper. This example, my Brotherhood character's been pinned down by this synth patrol. We're low on supplies and the situation is grim. So I've popped some red smoke and I've called for an extraction. But as you can see here, the Vertibird is parked in the nearest open area, which is at the top of the street behind the patrol. But if we can get to this extraction chopper, we can use this Vertibird's weapons to turn the tables on these synth killing machines. We can see here the synths have turned their attention to fighting the Vertibird. That in itself is going to give us a good distraction. So we sprint around the backside and we hop on board. And as soon as we're off the ground and in the air, we can use that minigun and turn the tables. This is another great example of how to use the Vertibird to get yourself out of a tough jam. And we could just leave the area, go away, recuperate, and replenish our supplies. But we can't leave these murdering synths to terrorise the good people of the Commonwealth. So we're going to use the techniques we've just learnt to circle the area and attack these synths from the air. Going back and eliminating enemies like this can be really thematic and much more immersive. Here's another great way to use the Vertibird. If like me you're really obsessive and you just can't leave those 12 fans and 16 clipboards behind after a mission, then this is for you. Being over encumbered whether on a mission or just out patrolling can be really frustrating. Now of course there are perks that can alleviate this, but the costs of those perks are very high, especially early on in the game. If you're an avid builder and you want all of that scrap material, this will save you having to make multiple trips backwards and forwards to pull all that scrap to your base. Once again, I find this really immersive on a Brotherhood playthrough. So if you're over encumbered, call a Vertibird. Another big advantage of using the Vertibird often in the early game is if you pass within detection range of an undiscovered location, you will reveal it on the map. This way you can use the Vertibird as a scouting system, simply by discovering two distant locations, travelling between them on the Vertibird and discovering everything in between. This is very useful early on in the game when you're under-equipped to deal with those tougher enemies in the south end of the map. So here's one more thing. Why not take the Vertibird just out on random patrols? This is something I've had an absolute ton of fun with. Whether it's discovering and fighting random monsters, or stumbling across a synth patrol. Maybe you'll even stumble across one of your provisioners under attack. You might be surprised how much fun it is to just fly around the Commonwealth and just get involved in the random encounters that spring up. This is an especially fun thing to do, particularly late on in the game, when either as the Brotherhood or maybe the Minutemen you have all your checkpoints set up and they're constantly getting themselves into trouble. You can ask the Vertibird to land at any time, and you can provide much needed assistance to those beleaguered boots on the ground. To me this makes for great endgame content, especially for a Brotherhood player.
We may have liberated the Commonwealth, but our job is far from over.
And here's one final bonus idea. Why not dress the part? Here's my Brotherhood medic character. This backpack's available from Creation Club, or you can get it from mods. Or how about my Brotherhood Airborne Ranger here? Whatever faction you play with, I'm sure you can come up with lots of creative ways to use this system. So time for me to turn this over to you guys. How do you use the Vertibird? Do you dress your character up in specific outfits? Do you go on random patrols? As always, I really want to hear from all you guys and to hear about how you guys have been having fun playing the game. Don't forget, if you found anything in this video helpful or useful, or even just simply entertaining, don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. It really helps me out massively. And anyone who's still watching at this point, I really appreciate your time. And maybe check out some of our other videos. I'm sure you'll like some of our other content. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope it inspires you to take to the skies very soon. And finally, I have to say a massive thank you to this month's supporters. If you'd like to get some bonus content and help support the survival of the channel, you can do that from as little as $1 over on Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon. And of course you can help the channel out for free just by smashing that ravaging like and subscribe button. It helps us out massively. So enjoy your gaming, take care of yourselves and each other, and I hope you'll join me for another video very soon.